Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of JigRetro, where I tackle the next game in the Shinobi series for the Sega Megadrive. This time it's Shadow Dancer. A while ago I did a video where I mentioned that the classic Shinobi series of games was something that went completely under my radar, somewhat due to the fact that by the time I received my Sega Megadrive, the Shinobi hype was pretty much over and I was somewhat of a younger gamer. One of my absolute favourite things about my retro gaming, video game collecting and content creating hobby is I get to rediscover these amazing titles as if it was the first time I'd played them. And this next game in the Shinobi series really ticks those boxes. If you enjoy this video, then please take a moment out of your time to like, share, subscribe and please check out my back catalogue. Shadow Dancer: The Secret of Shinobi was developed by Sega and released in Europe in 1991. This game sees Joe Musashi coming out of retirement. He is the main protagonist for the original arcade game and The Revenge of Shinobi. With his dog Yamoto, they aim to take down an evil ninja cult who worship a giant reptilian demon, this time called Union Lizard. This group have half destroyed New York and take any survivors of their onslaught hostage. In the Japanese release of this game, the manual identifies the hero as Hayate, Joe's son, instead of Joe himself. I may confuse a lot of people as I describe this game as the second in the Megadrive Shinobi games, as it was released after the first game, Revenge of Shinobi, but that in itself was a sequel to the original arcade Shinobi. But that already had an arcade sequel also called Shadow Dancer, which apart from the dog mechanics can hardly be considered the same as this Megadrive Shadow Dancer. Anyway, I hope that's clear. So here goes. This is my thoughts and review of another Sega Megadrive classic that I have never played before. Right off the bat, I want to say that this is a different beast to Revenge of Shinobi. This one feels a lot more like the arcade roots of the series in my eyes. Also, I didn't find it to be quite the level of challenge as Revenge of Shinobi. That game kicked my ass practically the whole way through. I would say that this one has potentially a steeper learning curve at the beginning and a pretty brutal last couple of stages that would take a good amount of practice even for the best of players. The bosses felt a bit like traditional bosses with relatively simple pattern recognition required, as opposed to Revenge of Shinobi, which can just seem unfair at times. I, funnily enough, had a really rough time with the Shadow Dancer boss in Revenge. Sometimes it seems like through no fault of my own. Other elements that return from the arcade original include one-hit deaths, unlimited shurikens, and bonus stages, although they do work a little differently here. There are 5 different stages in total, another way that makes it a shorter experience than Revenge. I really enjoy the graphics and style of this game, more colourful and vibrant than Revenge of Shinobi, which I suppose is really more to do with taste than anything else. I would say that all in all the animations have been improved from Revenge of Shinobi as well, with the walking animation of the main sprite looking smooth and realistic. Parallax scrolling effects are used sparingly but with good effect in this title, and I really enjoy the more grounded New York setting, with standout areas being the first level, the bridge stage and the Statue of Liberty. Although essentially all of the bonus stages are the same, palette swaps for backgrounds make it look like you are progressing through the day and into the night. I really like the look of the dawn and dusk ones, which look amazing with the backdrop of the city. The sound, I would personally say, is not an improvement over Revenge of Shinobi, although most of the sound effects are at least on par and in most areas are a bit of an improvement. To be fair, there are really very few games that will ever match that amazing Yuzo Koshiro soundtrack from Revenge of Shinobi. With that said, this soundtrack is pretty good in its own right. None of the songs feel out of place and use the Megadrive sound hardware well. The standout songs from this game are impressive. Take a listen. The button mechanics are on the whole similar to Revenge, with A being a special ninjutsu attack, which is similar to the screen clearing attack from Revenge, but gone are the other abilities such as self-sacrifice, invincibility and the extra high jump. As far as I can tell, the animations for the screen clearing assaults are random for each stage, but all have the same effect. B is your primary attack, which consists of throwing the this time limitless ninja stars and a powerful swipe of the sword or kick in close quarters. C is jump, but there is no longer a double jump and therefore no shuriken spray style attack. The sidekick dog is really the new and unique mechanic in this game, and I love its use. A simple hold of the B button will charge the dog meter, and letting it go once charged will send him at your enemy, disabling them while you dispatch of them. If you time this badly when the enemy is shielded in some way, then the huge dog will become a puppy until you have rescued your next hostage. This mechanic really can't be understated, and it really is fun working out the different strategies for each enemy. I almost wish it was utilised a bit more with a couple more enemy variants. Gone are the crates, which are now replaced by hostages, in which you have to ensure you rescue all of before you continue past the stage. The real key in the early stages of this game is learning how you combat each of the varieties of enemy. I found that most of the guys who run at you can be downed with ninja stars or a swift melee if they get close, including the blue ninja and even the green frog dudes that appear later in the game. The armoured armadillo looking chaps have to be taken out with the melee, as they are fully protected from ninja stars. And ideally the first hit, because they will quickly swipe at you if you miss. If it's the dudes shooting guns, then send the dog in first, but sometimes timing is key if there's literally another gun-toting enemy right behind him. In this case, know that they shoot in threes before pausing for a moment to reload. The big green frisbee shield chucking dudes are a bit tougher. You'll need to wait for them to attack first before sending the dog in, otherwise the poor thing will just bounce off their shield. The toughest enemies are definitely the red or black ninjas. You have to find enough space and keep on the move with these guys, because they will aim to land on your bonts. If you can bundle them up and then melee, that's the best tactic. But be aware that they take 2 hits or even 3 hits in the black ninja's case. In a couple of spots I found myself using the special ninjutsu attack just to get past a lot of them. Although aesthetically the bosses look different, they are relatively samey in terms of how to beat them. A bit of pattern recognition, but nothing too taxing. To be honest, once you have beaten one, then you've pretty much beaten them all. Dodge their attack, find their weak moment and spot, which is usually the head, and chuck a couple of ninja stars. There are a couple that vary slightly, including the final boss. But hey, I'm not going to spoil everything for you. One really great cheat that I found online that is really useful, especially to help practice the last couple of levels, was at the title screen, press and hold A, B and C, and then press start for a menu where you can practice any individual stage, not including bosses. This helped save me from frustration in a huge way and probably reduced the game's longevity somewhat. So my final thoughts, long and short of it, I really do think that this is a fantastic game. It's a bit more arcadey feel, and I think it's potentially a bit more casual retro gamer friendly. Because as I've already said, although it might be quite a daunting and steep learning curve initially, you very quickly get better and better. With that said, I would also say that although this game is a bit more accessible, I think that Revenge of Shinobi just steals it as the better game. Don't get it twisted, I still highly recommend this one. Back in the day, Sega Power gave this a solid 90%, and I would wholeheartedly agree. A classic Megadrive game that perhaps doesn't quite make it in the top 10. Please comment down below with your thoughts and feelings on this great title, or even if you've never heard of it before and fancy giving it a go due to this video. I really like interacting with my viewers. Until next time, much love, please look after yourselves and each other and get your geek on with JigRetro.